Warning: the following content may not be suitable for all listeners and contains crude humor that may be offensive to some. Listener discretion is advised. This is Satire is Not Dead. Welcome to Satire is Not Dead. I am Harvey, your host, and we're back with more personal stories, satirical articles, and some real news that could be mistaken for satire. This program is brought to you by Cinescape Media. You can learn more about this program and their other programs by visiting their website, cinescape.media. So here we are going into a holiday weekend, and it is hot in Louisiana. I don't know about other parts of the country, but right now, for being so early, I don't think it's even officially summer yet. It is hot. And I remember this winter, I told my wife one day that the older I get, the less I like the cold. My body, my joints hurt more, and my body just doesn't like it, and I feel better when it's hot. So I told her at one point in the winter, I am ready for the heat, so to bring it on. I'm tired of aching, and now when I go outside to go to work every morning, it's like, so I really have to be careful what I wish for, as the saying goes. But I don't know if it's the heat or if it's this virus thing starting to escalate again, or because of the holiday weekend, but people are edgy. And I live in a small town, and it's starting to show that people are edgy, and it's showing in how they interact in the stores and how they avoid one another, which is what they're saying to do. So that's fine. But I went to the store a couple of days ago to pick up some things because we were having dinner with a friend, and I went with him. We rode together, and we were driving into the parking lot, and we were about to turn into a row of parking spaces, and there was this guy coming out with a long line of buggies, bringing them back to the store. So you can probably figure out which store we were at. I'm not going to say it, but there was a car coming from the opposite direction. Also, she was actually wanting to turn in before us because I could tell she had her eye on an empty parking space that was pretty close to the front of the store. And so she was blocked by this guy bringing these long lines of buggies to the store. And the guy I was with, he was looking at the same parking space. And I gestured towards her, and it just came out. And I know it's wrong, but I just gestured at her real quick and said, the oinker wants that parking space, so we'll just keep going and look for another one. And when I looked back at her, we made eye contact, and she gave me the finger and did the "fuck you, motherfucker." I could read her lips, from like 30 feet away, and she was pissed. And I'm like, from this distance, there's no way she could have read what I said. I mean, maybe it's possible? I guess it is, but either that or she just didn't like the fact that I was pointing at her. I don't know. I spoke the thought before it had a chance to go through my check valve, so, it's not the first time I put my foot in my mouth, but I don't understand. I can't help but wonder if she actually read my lips, so I don't know. But I read her lips at that distance whenever I looked at her, so by that logic, she could read mine, but maybe she mistook my word oinker for the word orca. I don't know. Maybe she may have been old enough to understand a reference like that, but regardless, she was pissed. She, just to be fair, when she, said what she said and jerked her head, there was quite a bit of jiggling going on under her chin, between her chin and her neck. So, I was out of line, but maybe I should have just referred to as a bariatric candidate. I don't know, but I mean, it's not my fault her husband has to get her out of the car with the fucking jaws of life every time they go somewhere. I mean, she looked like bread dough in a pan after the yeast kicked in. But people are just edgy. And yeah, this one's my fault. Yep, it doesn't really count. But people are still behaving badly in this country. And I don't know if it's the heat or just nervousness. And there's other things going on besides the virus. We all know what that is. I don't have to go into that. But there's a lot of things going on where people are just behaving badly. And the whole thing has, I said this last time, the whole thing has become something that it didn't start as. And the whole issue can be solved nationwide, hell, even worldwide, for these people that are out there doing the things that they're doing. And I remember there was a radio program, satellite radio program, where these two guys did a radio show. And one of the guys was I guess you could say a little bit more liberal, and the other one was a conservative, and the other one I'm talking about is a radio personality by the name of Anthony Cumia, who was one of the most brilliant, speaking off the cuff people on radio, and still is to this day. He's doing his own podcast. But I remember something was going on, and I was listening to one of their shows, and I mentioned him because what I'm about to say aren't my words, but they're relevant right now. Something was going on, and he was, commenting about it, and that he said the problem's going to be solved with one word. It doesn't cost any money. Doesn't take any energy. In fact, it takes less energy than misbehaving. But people would just behave. Fucking behave yourselves. And all this stuff would stop. Yeah, we have issues, but we're always going to have issues. I mean, he went on to say that Michael Moore did a documentary a way back called Bowling for Columbine to create awareness for anti-gun laws. And he said, why not do some kind of movement called Bowling for Behave? Because if that's all it takes for people to just stop the foolishness and quit the shit, man. Because there's a lot of people, getting hurt and being victimized, and it's just sad to watch. And hopefully it'll get better soon. Now, going back to my first segment on the way people look, TheOnion.com did a little story on people that are concerned with skincare, and some of them really are. They go through all these treatments and shoot shit into their face or get a peel or whatever you want to call it. And they did an article called "New Neutrogena Deep Cleanse, Just a 130-pound Chimp That Rips Your Face Off." Touting the new beauty regimen's fast-acting, long-lasting effects, Neutrogena released a new deep-cleansing dermal kit Tuesday that's just a 130-pound common chimpanzee, which combats the buildup of oil, grime, and dead cells in the skin by ripping your face clean off. The exfoliating tool at the heart of our latest skincare kit, the most effective yet for eliminating blackheads and other facial blemishes, is an all-organic West African chimpanzee and a pointed fair trade eucalyptus stick to poke him in order to make him face-ripping angry, said Neutrogena spokesman Kirsten Guthrie, noting that the great ape's razor-sharp canine teeth can cleanly remove up to 3 layers of damaged skin from a human skull in less than 5 seconds. Once the chimpanzee has been enraged, he will signify the beginning of the skincare regimen by letting loose several terrifying screams, after which he will aggressively go to work on your face's problem areas by clawing off your epidermis. And the whole apparatus is easily and cheaply recharged with commercially available bananas. Neutrogena's advanced maintenance kit, which contains a bullwhip, a tranquilizer gun, and a net, will be sold separately. Can you imagine the customer testimonials for something like this? I really like the new skin look. I mean, I look so young that my own friends don't recognize me. I have a new outlook on life. People used to run screaming, but now they just stand staring with their mouths open. have spit and snot running down their neck because there's no nose or lips to slow it down. I mean, when they would blow their nose, it would look like a freaking humpback whale was spewing seawater into the air. But if they had to wipe their nose, they would just crumple up a piece of Kleenex and shove it in and pull it out like a dipstick because there was nothing to wipe. But you know what this stems from is there was a news story years ago where a woman, I think it was in Florida, who actually had a chimpanzee as her companion instead of a human. She was so ridiculous. She raised it, and she would seat it, fix a dinner for two at her dining room table and sit it down, and it would have to eat up the table like a human being. And I think she even slept with it. I mean, slept by meaning sleeping in the same bed, but God only knows what the hell else she did with it. Until it got to the point where it just pretty much had the thought of, I've had enough of this shit, and decided to go nuts on her. And he absolutely, I think if I remember right, he bit her fingers off and tore the skin off of her face. It's really not funny, but I mean, people are so ignorant about animals. Hell, you could take a baby raccoon into your house, and if it got pissed off enough, it would ruin your frickin' life almost. And this woman with the chimpanzee actually lived, but her hands looked like if you would ball up your fists and look at them from the top down, and her face looked like the Crypt Keeper. And I think she was on the Oprah Winfrey show. And because she had no lips, all of her S sounds were whistled like the creep on the old pervert on the Family Guy. Thank you for joining me. That is it for this edition of Satire is Not Dead. I appreciate you joining me, and I apologize for it being short this week, but the holiday weekend cut into my time, and we had some family time to spend together. So join me next Wednesday morning and every Wednesday morning for Satire is Not Dead. Thank you, and have a great week.